Hello, today we're going to be talking about how to complete a SEP plan in DegreeWorks or Student Educational Plan. So if you're starting at the main college website under the MyNCCC link, you're going to click on DegreeWorks and go ahead and click DegreeWorks Login. You'll log in with your school assigned username and password. And if you're an advisor, it's going to take you to this main page where you can take a look at a specific student. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and type in a student ID. And this is my account here. I will be listed as a non-matriculated student. Now you can see your students' information. As always, if they were to be in a degree program, you could scroll down, look at all of the requirements they have left remaining of their degree. What I would do as the advisor first is take a look and take note of what makes sense sequentially for this student, what classes they should be taking next. If they've taken English 101, is English 102 required? Is the spring semester or fall semester what is typically offered in spring or fall? If it's a very specific regimented program, like one of our high demand programs or even welding, something like that, where the skills build upon themselves, you're a little bit more pigeonholed into specifically what you're going to offer to a student. But typically what I would do is write down and mark down, ideas of classes before I meet with that student and then discuss those classes with that student. Once you have discussed the classes that work best with that student for their work schedule, any other life commitments they have, practices if they're an athlete, things like that, and have set classes that actually work for that student, you'll go in and create their plan. Now, up at the top left corner here is the plans tab, and you're going to click on that. And there is a plans list here. Here's a previous plan that is not active for me. So we're going to go ahead and make a new plan, and I'll show you how to do two different ones. So you can either start with a blank plan, or you can use one of the pre-created templates. So we're going to go ahead and click on new plan, and we're going to choose a blank plan to start with. And we're going to say spring 2023, which is the forthcoming semester here, and click submit. And I typically like to name this just the student's first name. So in this case, the student is myself. So Caitlin's, we'll say LAS plan. I keep it very generic. The plan shouldn't just be for a semester. So you shouldn't be saying Caitlin's spring 23 semester, because you can add multiple semesters on a plan. So you always want to make sure it's active and locked. Making it active means the student can view it in DegreeWorks, and making it locked means that the student can actually pull it into Banner to register from. So you would want to always make sure it's active and locked, or the student can't see it in all of the locations they want to see. You click save. And here's our base plan. Okay, so here's spring 2023. And there's a couple different ways we can add courses in here. So on the left-hand side, I could search by the college catalog, and maybe the student needs to take English 101. So I can go down to English, expand this, find the class I want, and click and drag it over. So that's one way to add a class. Another way is, instead of searching by courses at the top here, I can click over and see if they were in a degree program, it would show what is still needed, and I can click and drag from that. But as I'm not in a degree program, that's not going to show. But I could also put in here like GPA. Maybe this is a program that requires a specific GPA. So I can click and drag GPA, and I can say this major need GPA for education. If I was an education student, let's see, childhood education needs to be a 2.5. And I can save that. So then I have a note on that requirement that I need to keep a 2.5 GPA for that program. Maybe I'm going to give the student a choice. We discussed depending on what they're going to do. They might want to take either sociology, or we'll say psychology 210, or they would like, so psychology 210. You want to let that course sit there for a second until it suggests this and then click on it. Or the student wants to take psychology 250. Okay, so here's our two options, and they're both going to be at least 3 credits, and the student's going to choose between one of these two, and I'm going to click save. So now it'll show either psychology 210 or psychology 250 for an option. So you can do that as well in plans if you and a student discussed a couple different options to narrow it down for them. You can also just click on the plus sign here on the actual term. It'll bring up all the subject options. So in this case, I want to add a math class for the student. So I can scroll down to MAT and then search for the math class I'm looking for. Maybe the student wants to do childhood education. So we're going to select Math 108 and then click add. And here's the Math 108. Let's say the student just wants to take 3 classes, 9 credit hours. You can see up at the top, it adds the credit hours as you add on the different electives that the student's choosing that semester. And then what you're going to want to do is put the wrap number up here. See that little post-it note next to the term? You're going to click on that, click add new note, and type in their wrap number. You can find the wrap number either on that advisee listing that you receive from the Student Success Center every Monday, or you can go into Banner and look up your advisee or look at your advisee listing, and under the supplemental information on the far left-hand side, you'll click on that and the wrap number will be able to display. Typically, if a student is registering for, let's say, winter and spring or summer and fall, the wrap number typically is the same for summer as it is for fall, and it's the same for spring as winter typically. I might also add other notes in here, such as student requested to be part-time, recommended student seek help from career services in D102, and also recommended tutoring for PSY 110, because maybe that student's in Intro to Psych now and had expressed a little bit of difficulty and nervousness over getting that C in class at least. So you just click Save Note, and now that note is going to be there with your name and the date that you created it. Now in future terms, let's say I'm meeting with this student for next semester and I need to add their fall term in. You just click Add Term, choose fall, it's not fall 23, click add, and now here is my fall term. So when you have a plan and it's the same advisor, it's the same student, same program, you just want to add on each term. You don't want to create a new plan for every single time you are advising a student, because it's just going to look messier. If they change majors, yes, deactivate the old plan, add a new one in. Let me show you how to, let's say this is an old plan and now we want to create a new plan. Next to the plan name is a little pencil, and that lets you edit the plan. And all you would do is uncheck active and locked and click save. This way we still have a record of that old plan, but that one is deactivated now, and we're going to click new plan. And I'm going to show you how to do a plan from a template. So go ahead and click on select template. And you'll see here that most of the programs have a starting term template in here. I'm going to choose, for instance, animal management. That's a very set program. So I can just click on the fall start template here, selecting term. We're going to say this is a fall 2023 start student, because they're typically only a fall term start. Let's see. Actually, we'll pretend it's fall 22. Okay. And as you see here, it's already laid out: fall 22, spring 22, summer. If we scroll over here, we can see the other subsequent semesters of fall 23, spring 2024. So templates can be very helpful, especially for those high demand programs or programs that are very sequential, you know, such as a welding or like phlebotomy or something like that, where you really have skills that you're building upon and really can't take them too much out of order. So in this case, you know, that student might take that very standard, and the advisor may advise them to take that very standard first semester fall courses with the biologies, the English, etc. But in this case, you know, there are a couple instances where maybe that student wants to take English 101 next semester in speech. You can always swap some things around just by clicking and dragging around and clicking and dragging maybe speech over here, and maybe that student just wants to take English in the fall here or in the summer, which is fine. So you can click and drag and change a template if you need to, or let's say maybe that student already has credit for speech. You know, if you have a template already out there, you could just click on the 3 dots here and click delete requirement if you wanted to. So you can edit a template, that's fine, but it's very easy to click and drag or add something else in here if you wanted to. But if that advisor's meeting with a student, talked about them, here's that template, it works very well with the student's plans. We're gonna still need to go in and put the wrap number here on that little Post-it note, add the note, put wrap number, and you can put any other advisor notes. I'm just going to put sample advisor notes from that advisement meeting and click save. And as long as that student's progressing on their path, it's a nice, easy in terms of record keeping for the set plan the next semester. So when the advisor goes to meet with the student, talks about their goals, their progress, how they're doing, you know, discusses classes for the next semester, a schedule that might work in terms of times, all of that. All that advisor would need to know if there's no changes that need to be made here. They would just have to put the wrap number on there once they've had their meeting with the student. So that's just the big thing each semester. Make sure you're updating what that semester plan is in there. Make sure the classes are still good. Did that student pass all their courses or are expecting to pass their courses? You know, make any necessary changes and put that wrap number there. So there's 2 different ways, like I said, that you can either do a blank plan or you can go in and do a template. So SEPs are very easy. They work kind of like Google Docs or anything on Google Drive would, where it just auto saves. So there's no save button in here for you. But the big thing is just make sure, as you noticed, I did not make this active or locked. So you want to make sure that when you're done, you make it active and locked so that student can see that plan. Okay. So perfect. That is the SEP plans in DegreeWorks. Please check out the rest of the advisor training videos on Gen Eds, how to read a DegreeWorks plan, what prerequisite co-requisites are, how to do sub-waivers, all of that. Please take a look at our advisor training series. Thank you so much.